What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who Classic Review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 7th Doctor Sylvester McCoy story, Remembrance of the Daleks. So yes, it's the 7th Doctor's one and only run-in with the Daleks, and it's one of his most memorable stories, one of the best from what a lot of people say. Now, I have seen this story before. You might be noticing a pattern with these recent videos. The last 4 videos that I've done, classic reviews, I've seen all the episodes, and they also happen to all be pretty highly appreciated episodes, because I got a lot of DVDs for Christmas and I kind of purposely got a bunch of ones that I'd seen before that I knew were very good. So there's going to be a little bit of a pattern. It might drop off after this one, but yeah, these last 4 or 5 that I've done, they've all been very good stories, and ones I've seen before. It's just kind of how it's happened. But anyway, this is Remembrance of the Daleks by Ben Aaronovitch. London 1963, and the Doctor returns to Coal Hill School with his new companion Ace, where he has unfinished business. His oldest foes, the Daleks, are on the trial of Time Lord technology, an artifact the Doctor himself left behind on Earth. Enlisting the assistance of the local military, the Doctor must protect the Gallifreyan secrets of time travel, and 2 opposing Dalek factions meet in an explosive confrontation, with the fate of the entire universe at stake. So a really exciting little synopsis on the back of the DVD there. This is just a really interesting one. I mean, Remembrance of the Daleks was released in season 25, which was the 25th anniversary of Doctor Who. Now, Silver Nemesis, I believe, actually ended up being the actual 25th anniversary special. It was broadcasted over, the actual 25th anniversary. However, I haven't seen Silver Nemesis, but from what I've heard of it, it's not great. But just this feels like, at least to me, after I watch Silver Nemesis, maybe I'll think differently. Probably not, though. But I think this would have been much better as the 25th anniversary special. 1, because it's actually good, but 2, there are a lot of moments in here that just, the fact that the Doctor's going back, he's back in London in 1963, 25 years ago from when this was, and he's at Coal Hill School, where it's of course where Susan, Barbara, and Ian were. You've got little bits here and there just in the story that kind of call back to the time. So this really works as a 25th anniversary special. So yeah, I don't know why it wasn't, but hey, that's what ended up happening. But anyway, let's get on to the cast. So Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor, he's very good in this one. I do quite like him. He's less of his goofy self that like he was in season 24, and he's a bit more strict, a bit more kind of stern, and just all around, I think, a better Doctor in this series. He's definitely better in season 26 though, but he kind of progresses as time goes on, which is always a good thing. But yeah, he's very good in this. Some great moments, some funny moments, some serious moments. It's just really the 7th Doctor being the 7th Doctor, and Sylvester McCoy plays the character very well, and pretty uniquely as well. Then we've got Sophie Aldred as Ace. I really like Ace as a companion. She's really good. I can't wait to see more of her. I've actually seen quite a lot of her now, to be honest. There's only a couple, I think there's probably only 2 episodes actually, Silver Nemesis and Ghostlight, that I haven't seen with Ace. Yeah, those are literally the only 2 Ace stories I haven't seen yet. So yeah, Sophie Aldred is really good. I think she plays Ace really well, and altogether, what is there to say bad about Ace? She's just a badass character. She's probably at her best in this. She really is. Alright, so let's get on to the good and the bad. Starting off with the good. The Doctor blowing up a Dalek. So the Doctor uses those nitro cell can things, those explosives that Ace has, to blow up the first Dalek that they see, and I just think that's a really cool scene. It's very well shot. The Doctor just blowing stuff up, I think, is pretty cool. Yeah, the Doctor wouldn't usually be killing and stuff like that, but let's be honest, this is the Dalek, so I don't think he really cares if he's killing an odd Dalek here and there. He definitely kills a lot more towards the end. But yeah, that's just a really good scene. It sets up the Daleks in this whole story very well. I like how the Doctor figures out that this is the Daleks very early on. One thing I'll say about this, which I actually didn't write down, but I'll mention it now, is that this is a very well paced story. One of my main issues with Classic Who, and I've said this before, is that the pacing can be a little bit off sometimes, especially in 6-parters. Well, this is a 4-parter, and 4 parts I think is the perfect length for classic stories, and this is probably one of the best paced because it's got good talking scenes, dialogue and stuff, but it's also got a lot of great action scenes, and altogether it's just blended together really well. The Daleks can finally fly upstairs. This was a monumental moment in Doctor Who history, let's be honest. Yeah, I mean, there was always a running joke in the classic era that, oh, the Daleks, they're the most menacing villain in the world, the most menacing race, the most evil, but they can't fly upstairs. They can't, you go up a flight of stairs and they're basically stumped. Well, they rectified that in this episode by making a Dalek fly upstairs, and it made one of the best cliffhangers in Doctor Who history, and just absolutely blew people's minds that this was actually happening. And on that, the special effects in this one are really good. Like, the budget, I think, at least, I mean, for the budget that they had of Doctor Who in the 80s, or in general, this was really, really well done. They must have thrown a lot into this one because it actually looks really good. Ace blows up a Dalek with an RPG. That's pretty badass. Ace has an RPG and she just shoots it at a Dalek and right in the eye and blows it up. A lot of Dalek explosions in this one, but yeah, I mean, that's just, it's so satisfying. Just the action and everything. I love good action in Doctor Who, and this episode really is probably the best that action has ever got in classic Who. It's just so action packed all the time, so well paced, and yeah, blowing up a Dalek with an RPG is something that I definitely want to see again. The Doctor's speech about how small decisions change everything, I thought that was a really nice speech. You know how he's at the cafe and the guy says, you know, do you want sugar? And he's like, I don't know. What would it matter? Would it matter if what would change if I had sugar versus if I didn't? What will these little decisions do? And he's like, oh, it'll make your tea sweeter or whatever. And you know, it's I think that's a really funny scene, but also just a really good moment for the Seventh Doctor, one of his best speeches. The TV about to air the first Doctor Who episode. I don't know if anyone else picked that up, but Ace turns the TV on and it's on BBC, and you know, it comes on. It's like, now we're about to air the first ever episode of Dot, and then it cuts off. It doesn't actually say what it is, but it says the first ever episode of the new sci-fi show Dot, and then cuts off. Doesn't say Doctor Who, just says Dot, and then cuts off. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, it's breaking the fourth wall quite a bit. Some people might not like that, but I think considering this is basically the 25th anniversary, at least it should have been, it's in the 25th anniversary year, I think that was a really cool little thing to add. You know, it might not have been Doctor Who. I mean, it's a sci-fi series on BBC that starts with Doc, but you know, it's open to interpretation. But I mean, you know, I just thought that was a really neat little thing. It breaks the fourth wall, but yes, I still think it's pretty cool. Ace beating a Dalek with a baseball bat, probably one of the most memorable and well-known Doctor Who scenes. I think even someone who hasn't seen this episode and is a fan of, you know, like New Who, probably knows about this scene. Yeah, Ace beats up a Dalek with a baseball bat. I mean, what else can you say? She just smacks one of its like ears, or whatever you call them, like lights off. It smacks its eye off. I think it smacks its like gun or its plunger off as well. It's just such a cool scene, just seeing Ace beat up a Dalek with a baseball bat. I mean, she'd already blown one up with an RPG, now she's smacking one with a metal baseball bat. I mean, can that get any cooler? I don't think it can. And then finally, two separate Dalek factions fighting against each other. I think it's really cool. You know, you've got the Renegade Daleks, which are the kind of grey Daleks, and then you've got the Imperial Daleks, which are the white and gold Daleks, who, you know, Davros is a part of. I thought it was really cool. You know, you've got these two Dalek factions and they're both trying to get a hold of the Hand of Omega. I thought it was really cool. Also, the white and gold Daleks and Imperial Daleks are possibly one of my favourite, at least one of my favourite classic Dalek designs. I really think the white and the gold looks really good, and I like them very much. I wish we could see more of them, but yeah, just having the two Dalek factions is really cool. And then finally, the Specials Weapons Dalek. It's just awesome. I mean, it looks like a really beat down Dalek that's just kind of been cobbled together, but it is pretty cool, isn't it? It's a Dalek which just looks completely different from the kind of skirt upwards. It has this one massive like cannon on the front of it, and I mean, we don't hear it talk. I don't think we hear it talk at all in the episode, but I'm pretty sure in extended media or something it does talk, and it's got like a really deep voice. I mean, it's literally on the screen for like 2 minutes and really like blows a couple of, you know, Renegade Daleks up, and that's about it, but it is really cool, and I wish we got to see more of it. Alright, so there's only one bad thing I have to say about this episode, really. and that's the fact that Davros and the Daleks, but mainly Davros, are way too shouty. Now, I believe I did mention this in Resurrection of the Daleks, the 5th Doctor Dalek story, because I believe Terry Malloy plays Davros in this one. I believe Terry Malloy also played Davros in Resurrection. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly sure that was the case, because I'm fairly sure it was one person in Genesis, one person in Destiny, and then I'm fairly sure it was the same person throughout the whole 80s. You know, with Resurrection, Revelation, and Remembrance, Terry Malloy, I believe, because I do remember at least that Terry Malloy, well, whoever did play the Dalek in Resurrection, he was a bit too shouty for my liking. He was just constantly shouting. Well, that's even worse here. Davros shouts way too much. That's all he does. All he does is shout. When he finally kind of reveals himself, he's not as shouty then when you can actually see him, but especially when he's kind of in the Emperor, you know, the Emperor Dalek sort of throne thing, he just shouts way too much. It's so over the top. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. Some of the Imperial Daleks as well get a bit too shouty. They're not as bad, but they do get a bit too shouty as well. Yeah, it did put me off a little bit. But apart from that little nitpick, really, this episode is honestly pretty much perfect for me. I absolutely love Remembrance of the Daleks. I am going to give it a 10 out of 10. I mean, I can't not give it a 10 out of 10. I honestly think that this is probably my favourite Dalek story of the classic series. Yes, I mean, there is a couple that I haven't seen yet, but I don't think any of them will really come close to these. But yes, I do actually think that I like this more than Genesis of the Daleks. Is that controversial? I mean, I think both of these are pretty highly regarded, but I mean, Genesis of the Daleks I also gave a 10 out of 10, but I think this is just that little bit better. I just enjoy it that little bit more. It's a bit better paced. It's only 4 parts long compared to 6. And yeah, I mean, Remembrance of the Daleks, I knew this one was good, but I forgot how good it was. So yeah, a 10 out of 10. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.